Well, we're obviously very concerned about the situation in Spain and the sharp uptick in cases that we've seen in the country there. We've decided to extend the advice that you should avoid all but essential travel to Spain, to the islands, because of the wider disruption that's now in place. If you're going to have to self-isolate for 2 weeks upon your return, it simply is a very different kettle of fish to the situation we saw before, and therefore it is important that people take steps to avoid travel there unless it's essential. Well, we continue to take advice from the Joint Biosecurity Committee that's been set up to interrogate the data. And the advice that they've given the government is clear that the situation in Spain is worsening. Given that there are transfers between the Spanish mainland and the islands, the advice the government's issuing is clear that we shouldn't now travel to any part of Spain. There's always a measure of risk, and that is the world that we're living in. And unfortunately, the advice that we issue will be subject to change as the facts on the ground change. We set up these air bridges to try and do our best to make sure that where it is safe, people can travel without restriction. The situation in Spain has got worse, and therefore we've had to respond. And I think that was the only proportionate thing the government could have done, given the fact the data was worsening and worsening really quite dramatically last week. We continue to engage very closely with the Spanish government. We completely understand why this is frustrating. Tourism is a massive industry to Spain, and we all want it to continue to succeed. We all want British people to be able to get over there. But we do have to look at the risk to the UK public. We've made massive strides over the last few weeks in reducing rates of infection, and we don't want to see new risk now imported from abroad. So if you do travel abroad, that's fine, but you do have to accept that there is the possibility that we might need to impose quarantine restrictions. And obviously in Spain's case, we now have. We hope that this is a one-off, but we just have to accept that that is the world we're in at the moment, that there is a high degree of volatility, and that with coronavirus, the situation can change almost from day to day, and we have to have the tools to respond to that. Well, testing, I'm afraid, has its limitations because of that 2-week incubation period. So if you tested someone coming off a plane, they might not show any sign of having coronavirus, but it could still be incubating within their system and then manifest itself later. That's the point that Dido Harding, the architect of the test and trace system, made over the weekend, that unfortunately, until you've actually gone through those full 2 weeks of the potential incubation period, you can't know you're safe, even if you have a negative test. It could be, in effect, falsely reassuring.